At this point, you've downloaded the WillData software from the website, and you've got the executable somewhere on your computer. The executable does not need to be installed. This Windows executable, once you double click on it, will open up to the licensing page for the first time. And at this point, you get the licensing key from the email that you've received. Put it into the box there, acknowledge that you've read the WillData Terms of Service, and click Activate. Once you've activated the software, you'll see the entitlements that you have and the expiration date of your license. If your license is expired, you can reach out to your sales team or support at WillData to get the license key extended. The WillData Terms of Service basically say that your data will be deleted within 60 days, the raw data that's collected, and a summarized report will be given only to Pure Storage for their use for this opportunity, and they'll have the right to maintain that report indefinitely. At this point, now that the software is licensed, you're ready to move on to Step 1, Collect. We'll click on Step 1 and we'll see the options of assessments that we can perform given the entitlements that we have. We're going to go ahead and do a VMware assessment for our first assessment today. At this point, we've entered in the IP address or host name of the vCenter that we want to run the assessment against. We've put in a username and password. The user is only required to have read-only permissions for the vCenter environment. We've selected basic performance. There are other options, but only run those if specifically requested. And we've optionally set a site name and a project name so that we know which one this applies to. At this point, we'll click Begin Scan, and we'll see the assessment pop up at the bottom. It'll give us a little bit of information about what vCenter we're running the assessment against, when it started, and what the current status is. We can also see a status of any open running tasks right now in the Task Manager over on the left-hand side. At this point, we see we have one assessment currently running. We are multi-threaded and the capability to run multiple assessments at the same time. For the NetApp assessment, go ahead and enter in the cluster name, host name, or IP address, the username and password, and it's only required that the user have read-only permission also for the NetApp cluster. And then optionally, we enter a site name and project name. Now we're on the Dell PowerMax. For the Dell PowerMax assessment, it's slightly different than the other assessments. For this one, we need to have Dell Solution Enabler installed on this machine. We need to have a current copy of the bin file and the UPV file that can be exported from Solution Enabler. If you need more help on that, we have a one-page sheet that you can refer to for some more specific instructions on how to acquire those files and make sure that they're up to date. At that point, you'll specify the executable for Solution Enabler, provide the path to those two files, and then click Begin Scan. Under the Support tab, we can find information about how to contact WillData Support and also the data directory where your files are being saved and the working directory that we're using. Under WillData Support, you can find the email address and phone number for WillData. You can also find information about the application version you're running. You can do a force check for updates and also see the data directory that you're working from. At this point, we get a pop-up notifying us that the scan is completed running. We can go ahead and click on Close, and we know that we're ready for review step. Our VMware scan is completed running successfully. We see the number of scans waiting to be reviewed as 1. We click on Step 2, and it takes us to this page. And it gives us some high-level instructions. This is a powerful search and replace tool that can replace any sensitive information prior to a secure upload for processing with WillData. Under Step 2 Review, we have the opportunity to search and replace for any sensitive information. In this case, we're going to search for our company name. We see that we found WillData. We can click on that row. We see in the bottom the places where WillData has shown up as part of our domain name. And we decide we want to replace that with Acme. At this point, we click outside of that box and we've committed to searching and replacing WillData for Acme. At this point, we'd also like to do a search for IP addresses. So we can come in here and do a search for IP addresses. We click on Scan Files, and it's going to run out and do a scan of all the files that we've collected to see anything that matches a potential IP address. In this case, we get a number of IP addresses back, things that may look like IP addresses. Some of these are not IP addresses, but we come in here and we say, we know that 10.10.63.30 is our super secret server, and we don't want that getting out. So we're going to do a very creative replacement here and make sure that nobody can find our server. At this point, we've clicked on that and we'll be able to replace that value. You can put whatever you'd like here. It can be an x.x in here for IP addresses. This does take away some of the information. So if you're trying to tie back the performance and what happens in the report, back to which server was causing that, you may lose some of the ability to trace back the performance issues that our assessment uncovers. Okay, we've successfully completed step 2 of the review process. We clicked on substitute and approve, and now we're ready to upload. We come over to step 3 and we see that there's one assessment that's prepared to upload. If you have multiple assessments, they'll appear as individual rows here. It'll show the size of each assessment and the total size of all the assessments put together. This information is going to be encrypted and then compressed before being securely sent to Wool Data for processing. We're ready to process. We click on upload. Depending upon the size of the files, this may take a little bit. This was a small assessment today, and the upload was successful, and the Pure Account team will be following up with you.